Good morning. Thank you for joining me for today's Facebook Live. My name is Tracy Held. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne, in Australia. Apologies for being late today. I've just had one of those days where just nothing seemed to go right, but I'm now calmed down, all prepared, and ready to spend some time with you. Hopefully you'll like the card that I'm doing with you today, and you'll think that it was actually worth the wait. Let me show you what we're doing. This is the card that we're going to do, and it's going to open up like that. I hope that you're seeing that on camera. It actually has some window sheet on the top, so you've got that effect. And my tip for you is don't waste the window sheet that comes with your photopolymer stamps. Now, I don't know if you do what I do. This is just a stamp set that I was working with yesterday, so not all the stamps are back in here. But when I get my photopolymer stamps, I normally take them off the sheet that comes with them, and I stick them onto their pictures on the back of the back of the stamp case, so I can then see exactly where they are. If I'm missing any stamp, I can see that it's there. I know that some people like to keep them on that backing, but this is the way that I do it. And when you've got your stamps stuck, you're left with the window sheet. So the top piece is like a flimsy piece of plastic, which I haven't found a use for yet. But don't throw away that window sheet. So even though you think that it's just little and not very useful, it's actually the perfect size for the front of a card, and you'll have a little bit left over, so you can always use that if you're doing a spanner card or something that just needs a strip of the window sheet. Then you can use it for that. Let me show you what else we're working with today. So my stamps is from the Dainty Delight stamp set, and it has matching dies. So, these will match cut out your floral images, and then you've also got separate ones. This is this big stem, little flowers, daisy, so there's all kinds of fun stuff going on in those dies. And for the sentiment, we're using my old favorite Go-To Greetings. I wanted a big stamp that was going to go across the front, so that was why I went with that big happy birthday. But any of them will work, or any other stamp that you want to use with it. Okay, so let's start. I've cut my cardstock down slightly. I have put the measurements into the description, so you'll be able to find everything there. This I've scored at 5 cent. Okay, try that again. That's 5 centimeters. So if I'm scoring from the bottom, I would have scored that at 14.9 centimeters, which would be your 5.5 inches, which is just your normal card base. Okay, so nothing like that. We've just got that extra little flap at the top. And the DSP that I'm using is the Dainty Flowers DSP. Now, this is a celebration item, so if you want it, you're going to want to put in your order before the end of this month. So it is a level 1 item. So in Australia, $90, you can redeem this as your free item. It works really, really nicely with that Dainty Delight bundle. And I'll just quickly flip through the DSP. So you've got that. This is the one we're working with today. This one you can just cut in half, cut that into pieces, and you've got beautiful card fronts with minimal effort. Cut those up and you can use the frames on their own. Then there's the green one. There's one more piece which I've actually used up, so I can't show you that one. And then the reverse side has, did I show you 2 of the same one? No, okay, it just looked like those 2 are actually the same, but they're not quite the same, slightly different. So you've got your less fancy backgrounds on the back there. Okay, back to my card. So what I'm going to do is just stick my DSP onto the top of the card. There we go. Okay. All right, let's do some stamping. So the only ink that I'm using today is my Memento. Okay. And we're going to stamp that. Hi Annette, I'm going to send this card to one of my friends whose birthday was actually yesterday. So yes, she's going to get it late, and she's actually going to get it much later than that because she's in the UK, so it takes even longer for anything to get there. But she's a lovely person who really likes flowers and things, so I'm sure that she'll be very happy to get it, even if it is late. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my floral images, and you've got a few different ones. Let me find the stamp set again. Okay, so there's a few different ones that you can use. I felt that one was a bit too big. You can use that, but we're going with that one just because it's pretty and it sort of matches the flowers over there. And depending on where you stamp your happy birthday, you're going to get more or less of these floral images in. Okay, now I was just eyeballing it. If you're a bit nervous, you can just check that when you've got your insert down where you're positioning that happy birthday. But that was lucky for me. Eyeballed it well. That doesn't happen too often. I normally get it crooked or in the wrong place. And very basic coloring over here. So I'm using the light old olive for the leaves, and because they're really little, I'm going to use the bullet, or I think it's called the bullet tip end of the blends. Okay. Sorry, like so. Very minimal coloring here. And then I've got my light rich raspberry, which I'm going to use for the flowers. Again, I know that some people only like using this tip of their blends. I find that I like this for smaller bits, or where it's more difficult to get in, but I like the brush end when I'm coloring in bigger pieces. It just then goes quicker, and we all know that I'm always way too impatient with anything. I'm not worried about it being 100% colored in. I don't mind if there are little bits of white poking through. I think it just gives it some dimension. And lastly, I'm taking my dark Daffodil Delight, and we're coloring the center. All right, so I'm not going to go through and color the others. I'll go and finish them up afterwards, because I'm sure you don't want to sit and watch me color 3 little bits. Okay. Oh. Okay, somebody has just told me that they've only got a blank screen. So has everybody got the same, or has things come right? Anybody? Alright, I'm going to keep going then. Please let me know if there's a problem, because then I'll stop. Otherwise, hopefully it was just a glitch in the streaming and things have come back again. Alright, so moving on. We're now going to take our piece of window sheet, and the best advice that I can give you for the window sheet is when you put it away somewhere where you know where you've put it. and make sure that when you put it down, you know where you've put it, because otherwise you're not going to be able to find it because it just disappears. So let's stick my insert down. Okay, I've cut my window sheet that it's the same width as my card, so 10.5 centimeters, or that would be your 4.5 inches. And I have cut it slightly shorter. You don't need to do that. I just think that if I've done that, then I've got a slightly bigger piece left over if I want to use it for something else. But if you wanted to, you could make it the same width as your card. Now what we're going to do is just stick, I'm just putting a piece of tear and tape at the top of my card here, so that's where it's going to stick onto the DSP, oh, rather the window sheet. And I'm going to put another piece at the top of the window sheet where it's going to stick onto the card. So that way I've got glue at the edges of both pieces that are sticking together. And we're going to lift off our backing. Now line up your window sheet so that it's lined up nicely on the bottom and the sides of the card. And then we're going to just press down. There we go. Now I've cut out this long stem image with my dies. This one, I think it's actually in Party Parakeet or Pear Pizzazz maybe. I'm not sure, it's just whatever green I had lying around, and it works fine with that old olive, so when you've got a scrap, just use it up. Now this is a bit longer than the width of my card, so I am going to trim it. So you can just decide where you want it to sit, and you want to make sure that it's not covering up too much of your greeting. And we're just going to try and go lightly with the glue and pop some glue behind the leaves here. Okay. And we're going to just stick that down. Now, the one thing you will find that when you open your card, you are actually seeing the glue and I guess the back of your spray there on the inside of the window sheet, but I'm not fussed about that. I mean, you know, you're opening it up, you're looking at that, and it looks pretty like that, so I'm not worried about that. I guess if you wanted to, you could stick another piece of something behind there, but then you're losing the effect of the sheet. And let's just, now that that's had a couple of seconds to dry, we can just Sorry, it's one of those days where my eye's playing up just for a change. We're going to just trim that along the edges. And then I've gone and I've layered my flowers. So when you cut them out, I'm using this die, so it's actually cutting out 3 different size flowers at the same time. And I was playing with them one by one, but then that just wasn't working for me, so I decided to layer them, and that worked quite well. So what I've done is I've cut 2 of the dies out of rich raspberry and fresh freesia, and I've already layered some of them, but the way that I did it is I've taken my biggest flower, then we've taken the second biggest flower in the next color. I didn't use this third flower, those I'm keeping for something else. We'll find something to do with them. And then I'm taking the tiny little one, and we're just putting a little bit of glue at the back here and popping that on top of that, and then the little one on top. Okay, so it doesn't have to be specifically lined up anyway or have anything, it's just as it comes. Obviously try not to have it too far over, sort of centered, but that doesn't matter. And I've used my glue dots to stick them down. You could use your liquid glue, but I just find that takes a little bit longer to dry and is a bit slippery against the window sheet, so I'm using the glue dots for attaching stuff as much as I can. I'll just pop them all down and then I'll grab them. And you can just position your flowers wherever you think they're going nicely. There we go. And then this needed a little something else. So I found my loose flower flourishes. I don't know if you've worked with these. I hadn't until I got them, and they're absolutely awesome. So you can see I'm almost ready for a new box of those. And again, the big one I'm going to put on with a glue dot. And we could have, you know, 3 of the big flowers. It looks like I've got just enough left here. Which I actually like this time around. The last time I didn't like them. I wanted the 2 little ones. Maybe I've just spaced my flowers out slightly differently here. So let's go with the 3 bigger flowers. Guess what's on my next order? Some more of these. And you know the rules. Every card needs some bling and sparkle. So I've got the iridescent rhinestones, and we'll just pop those onto the center of these layered flowers over here. That one could be a little bit more central. Alright, So there's our card. Like I said, I just need to finish off colouring that in, but I'll get that done. And that's it, ready to roll. So like I said to you, don't get rid of your window sheet, keep it. You can find a use for it. And you can see my light reflecting off the window sheet. I guess that's the only downside to having to work under lights when things are reflective. So I hope that you'll join me next week. I'll tell you, next week we're going to work with some masking and making your own stencils. That's my plan for our card for next week. So until next time, have a good week, and I will catch you next weekend. Bye.